Welcome to our presentation, Pivoting the 2020 Vancouver Outsider Art Festival. First, I want to acknowledge the privilege of living on the unceded territories of the Squamish, Musqueam, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. My name is Pierre Leichner, and I am an interdisciplinary artist and the artistic director of the festival.
Thanks, Pierre. Hi, everybody. I'm Johnny Dieterin. I'm the festival manager and program coordinator for the Community Arts Council of Vancouver that produces the festival, Vancouver Arts Festival. I'm also an interdisciplinary artist, so we'd like to play this up.
Okay.
All right.
Right.
In today's presentation, Pierre is going to take us through a bit of history of outsider arts and the background to the festival. Then I'll come in and share with you a bit about the overview of the festival overall. We'll share some highlights, some clips from performances and exhibitions, and then we'll be doing a reflection, looking back and forward, talking about some of our programming, how we pivoted, and looking towards the future.
Outsider art originated at the turn of the last century with the identification of prolific artists who lived mostly in their whole lives in institutions, such as Adolf Wolffy in Switzerland. These works became sought after by the surrealists, in particular Jean Dubuffet, who felt that they might be more authentic, purer, in the sense that they were not influenced by social norms or market pressures. They identified these works as art brut or raw art. Roger Cardinal, in 1972, renamed this genre as outsider art. Since then, the term has become debated by becoming more inclusive to include categories such as folk art, visionary art, naive art. And the vast majority of these artists no longer live in institutions, they live in the community. For our purpose, we see outsider art more as a spectrum or a range. At one end is the highly successful insider artist, whose works are seen as commodities and are sought after by curators, art dealers, and show often in mainstream private and public galleries. At the other end is the outsider artists who tend to be underrepresented, who often live in marginalized situations, and they may be self-taught or have varying degrees of training.
On the screen, you're seeing images of different art spaces in Vancouver, British Columbia. Until recently, there really wasn't a space that offered a platform for outsider arts. Over the years, it's developed. The Vancouver Outsider Arts Festival started in 2017 under the leadership of Pierre Leichner with the support of the Community Arts Council of Vancouver, and you can see some places here where the Galerie Gachet, Lost and Found Cafe, where we showed the art last year, and our traditional historical place of showing at the Roundhouse Community Center.
What are some of the values of our festival? Essentially, we aim to increase the awareness about outsider art, artists, and challenge stereotypes. We want to foster inclusion and active participation by artists and the public. And finally, we want to provide eligible visual and performing artists facing social inclusions and other barriers opportunities to show their art. This slide is very busy. It just provides some information about previous festivals, so we won't go into detail. Just to let you know that there is actually a separate video that was presented at last year's Arts and Society Conference. It's available on YouTube that can actually give you this information. So we'll go on right away into an overview of this year's festival.
And now to discuss why we're here today. The pandemic has affected everyone globally, and especially for marginalized communities, their challenges are exacerbated. So what inspired this presentation of how we pivoted in 2020, we're going to detail that here. Because of the pandemic, we had to shift from from an in-person gathering to an online format, recognizing that this in itself created barriers. People who are marginalized and from key marginalized communities may not have had access to a computer or to getting online. We found that we had to hire additional staff with special skills about producing content online for distribution, and we had to do a lot more check-ins. One thing that we found very useful, which we'll talk about more later on, is having festival emotional support workers on. We've had them actually for the last 4 festivals, but especially now, providing someone who's there to connect with the artists, connect with the community, to give that listening ear was really, really important. So what ended up happening was a very successful run of a almost completely online festival with live stream performances, as well as an online exhibition gallery. And you'll see some image stills of that later. As we were pivoting through the pandemic, we also realized that there was an opportunity to have a live showing. As the health orders changed, we were able to, and as you've seen in the photos, have a live exhibition at the Lost and Found Cafe. This was very important to us because it supported a local business, and it was at the heart of the community where many of our artists come from.
This was the artist's call-out poster for the 2020 festival.
For Vogue 2020, we had approximately 13 to 15 visual artists and 10 performances. This was a definite drop from previous years, but because we were moving to an online platform, it really heightened and made us realize the type of challenges that our artists were facing. More than just access barriers in terms of getting online, artists were also facing challenges with getting support services that they needed to survive on a daily basis. Physical distancing created much more physical barriers, and folks oftentimes weren't able to connect with their local community, and of course that took an emotional toll. Also, a very stark reality is infection rates within the marginalized communities were much higher than in other regions in the city and within other communities. On the festival, it meant that we had to spend more focus on survival and the basic needs, and recognize these are the challenges they're facing so that we were not a priority. The result was that many artists weren't able to apply, and so we're hoping to pivot that and hopefully get some more applicants for 2021, which is actually happening. Another challenge for the festival was that festival partners and other arts organizations were in precarious financial situations, and so that affected our donorship and sponsorship to produce the festival. A big component of Vancouver Outside Arts Festival is the professional development, and we to directly address the challenge of access and getting comfortable with using online platforms, we designed a workshop series called Getting Outside Artists Online. This was an 8-week series with filmmaker and media educator Ana Maria Carrizales. It provided life skills-based training where folks were learning to use their devices, learning the functions on their phones, and finding out ways to upload that content, to create content, to get out, to reach audiences. The strategies were here as having 2 staff festival coordinators supporting the participants the entire time, bi-weekly workshops and follow-ups with our workshop facilitator, and also having 2 emotional support volunteers throughout the process to, again, give that support and encouragement to help keep folks accountable and on task, and also just lend a listening ear. We also made sure to provide kits for folks, like ring lights and microphones and tripod stands, so that they actually had the tools needed to be successful and feel successful, and also give them something useful they can take with them later on. The big goal from these workshops and these events was that all the artists were able to create an online folio, an artist statement that they've then taken with them to share at other spaces. And for our live performances and having professionally recorded video, allow them to use that content again to help get their art out there in the future. The results. Some participants have never used Zoom before, and now there they are. After a 6-month check-in after the festival, 97% of the participants continue to engage and create content online. Folks are able to engage a lot more and are also helping each other engage, which is really powerful in terms of community building. The workshop series provided an opportunity to create a very supportive community with Brisbane Pool, and it was so successful that we're actually going to be mounting a 10-week session in 2021. Here's an example of some video statements from some of our artists. Some of these were self-created, and for those who couldn't participate in the festival, we had actual created templates for them doing interviews at the gallery when they were mounting their art.
Hi, my name is Alex Lavrov and I'm a visual artist. I work mainly with oils and canvas, and my main method for creating art is improvisation, which means I don't pre-plan anything in advance, but rather the subjects of my paintings unfold by themselves during the creative process. In 1997, when I was 16-year-old, I had to leave Ukraine, where I was born and grew up, and I had to go to Israel as a student. In the end, it turned out to be a permanent move. The detachment from family and friends, plus the culture shock of the unfamiliar environment, proved to be quite a challenge. I was only somewhat involved in arts before the immigration, but in those days, art became an integral part of my life. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that my art career was born out of pain. Since those difficult times, though, my art developed into something else, more of a tool for self-knowledge, a tool for understanding the workings of the mind.
Montana King, Canada. Oh, what's going on here anyway? Art who? What's going on here anyway? Downtown East Side? Uh-oh, that's in Vancouver. What's going on here? Gallery Gachet? Whoa, that's a gallery in downtown Eastside, Vancouver. Whoa, and they got a project. They had a project a long time ago called Out of the Rain. Whoa. Wow, look at that project.
Hello, my name's Penny Lim, born in Vancouver. Our whole family was born in Vancouver, except for my dad, who came from China. And if you look at this bear worship, that's the title of this picture, you see the Chinese elements. I was very fond of working from the Ming porcelain and the Song ceramics. So I put these elements together, and I'm also very fond of nature. So here you have your bear worship.
We had our very first online exhibition. In the exhibition, artists were allowed to share 1 to 4 artworks, their artist statement videos that they created or we filmed for them, and this exhibition ran from December 3rd until January 9th into 2021. So as mentioned, we were able to have a live group show at the Lost and Found Cafe, a local business, and being able to support that business was really important to us. Other results from it was that it provided an opportunity for physical connection and a physical exhibition, again adding to the experience for the artists. One way that we managed traffic and safety was that though the art was mounted, we followed all the health protocols, and it was actually run through the cafe, the staff themselves, so people would come in distance and small groups. All artists were actually paid for the festival because that's a core value within the Vancouver Outside Arts Festival, and to assess payment we went through what we call CARFAC fees here. One of the reasons for this is that with the online festival we did not yet have the capabilities to do online sales. The other benefit of having a live exhibition was that patrons coming to the cafe were able to reach out to the artists and make personal private sales of that art. So that was really quite successful. Recognizing that with an online festival, live streaming can be really challenging, especially with artists that may or may not have consistent access to internet. So the most effective way to do it was to pre-record the content, and we did this over 2 days with a very extensive safety protocol plan at the Culch in Vancouver. All performances were also able to have ASL interpretation when possible, and if we didn't have that, we would have live captioning. So we streamed the festival over 3 days, December 3rd to 5th. We had over 11 performances, and we had about a viewership of 100 people every night over 2-hour blocks. So for our first time, we felt that was a huge success with highly engaged viewers and commenters in the chat. Here's an example of some of the footage we had from our live streaming.
OCM everybody. My true name is Tita Echema. My English name is Rebecca, and I am Squamish. I also come from the village of Musqueam. It is my honor to welcome you all to our sacred territory here. Squamish Osh.
Way down on the old east side, on Hastings and Main, there is a sandstone lady who braves the wind and rain. She's a building of rare beauty with her covered dome, and the people who've gone there, they say she feels like home.
So this is an Andalusian song. It's from when the Arabic and Spanish culture met back in Spain, and it's a little bit unique because it has a 10/8 meter.
As one of the participant artists said, what was great about this festival is that it connected the artists that were involved, and it challenged them to support each other, thus making them stronger. We did experience, of course, because of COVID, a bit of attrition within the volunteers, but there was really a lot of positive feedback from the artists that participated. There was more time necessary for the staff to make the changes and to organize the online and the digital components, but the visual artists did feel that connection stronger. And we had, I think, a very successful production stage and high quality videos.
The impacts of COVID-19 were vast. This pivoting also provided many opportunities we weren't expecting. An example is we were able to access and engage a community and participants who previously were unable to engage because of mobility issues and isolation. Artists and audiences were able to engage on their own time and from greater distances as travel was no longer a requirement. And for us, along with the workshop and the live streaming, we were able to learn about digital media and creating better content and high quality content. As we continue to move through this pandemic, VOVE 2020 brought us online. In 2021, we realized that we need to do a hybrid, because as we are able to connect in person, and that was the ideal for many of our artists, we still need to continue this extra service, which actually isn't extra. It's about being more inclusive. So having both a hybrid version where we're online and in person is how we're going to move forward for 2021.
In terms of future directions, we are looking to perhaps developing online auctions, a e-commerce platform, as well as artists' website linkages. Another thought is to create a touring show that could travel in smaller venues during the year.
Before we wrap up, we should thank and acknowledge the sponsors and supporters of the festival. So our title sponsor is McCarthy Properties Limited, Heritage Canada, the City of Vancouver, the British Columbia Arts Council, and the Province of British Columbia. Thanks so much.
To find out more about our festival as well as last year's presentation, here are some of the links that are available. Should you want any further information, here are some of the addresses that you can reach us. This has been a very quick overview of the festival. Should you want any further information, please don't hesitate to contact us on our links.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.